Video games get weird, eh? 2019 was a brilliant year for video games, and a terrible year for everything else. But never mind all that, let's look back at the year's highlights and try to forget we're all desperately clinging on to life in the last days of a dying civilization that's messing about playing cool video games about criminal geese instead of making any reasonable attempt to avoid the imminent ecological collapse that's definitely going to kill us all. Welcome to 2019 in Video Games, presented by the Golden Joystick Awards. January started strong with fitness boxing, then exploded into life with two of the year's most critically acclaimed games. Firstly, a lovingly crafted, ground-up remake of 1998's Resident Evil 2. Who have we got doing the piece to camera for that one?
There's definitely some specialists out there I think we can get in touch with. Do you want to run through them now? Or?
I'm thinking I'm going to do it, you know, because, you know, I know the series and I know people who made it. I've been out to Japan and I want to talk about how the fact it exists at all is a miracle. Like a baby, like a gory baby. The babies are kind of gory anyway, aren't they? But hold on, 1 second.
We talked about this. You can't talk about Resi 2 because you worked on it.
No, I did not.
You did.
What's that doing? Huh?
You made one of the trailers for it.
No. Just because I produced a live-action trailer does not mean that I cannot sit down and talk about the game itself.
Aye, it does.
Why? Tell me.
Because you're compromised. You're biased.
It's not a John le Carré novel. How am I compromised?
It's about integrity. Remember back in the day where we could eat all the gourmet food we wanted at preview events or whatever? And then it all changed. I had to refuse tiny cheeseburgers for 3 years. I lost 4 stone. And listen, I didn't go through all that just so you can let the whole system come crashing down again with your ego.
Resi 2 any good anyway?
Oh, it's great. What it does is it blends the 1998 original with the graphics and gameplay afforded by modern day consoles. So what you end up with is a really intense nostalgia hit, but you're never quite sure what's coming next.
What the hell is going on?
I don't know. Hopefully they'll have some answers at the police station.
Well, I liked it well enough for its tense horror and slick presentation, you know, but it didn't depict police procedure very well. The guy's on a night shift and he doesn't once go to KFC. Apex Legends was dropped as a surprise release from the studio that brought us Titanfall, and it was a bit bloody alright too, marrying Respawn's excellent shooting pedigree with a free-to-play battle royale model that allowed anyone to jump in, but there weren't any Titans in it, so some people got a bit miffed.
Apex Legends didn't need Titans because it dropped as a perfectly formed 4-player free-to-play game that ticked everyone's boxes, even though they didn't know they needed those boxes ticked.
With PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Fortnite and Apex Legends knocking about, the burgeoning Battle Royale craze seemed to reach parity levels with Tetris 99 back in February, which took a concept rooted in screaming, blood-soaked chaos and a cult Japanese film that your boyfriend makes everyone watch, and applied it to the most pure and methodical video game of all time.
It sounds like it would be utterly bonkers, but of course it's Nintendo, so it was brilliant and we've poured hundreds of hours into it.
February also saw the release of Anthem, EA's much-hyped service shooter.
Stadia Games and Entertainment.
With the onset of March came news of a flabbergasting tech revolution with the announcement of Google Stadia, which aims to replace the boxes under your telly with bigger and flashier boxes elsewhere. It's a game-changing concept, so on the knife edge of ingenuity that there's only been 5 other services that do the same thing, and one of them went bust in 2012, but crucially, none of them have Google's cache, and if it works, it could actually change the world. Bits of it, at least.
Cloud gaming and Stadia is really exciting, but it's not necessarily going to be the next big thing in the next few years because there's a big problem with access. If you look at infrastructure in general around the world, there are a lot of people who don't have the speedy internet connections, who don't have the connectivity. And so if the whole of gaming moves to the cloud, then we could end up in a world where some people in parts of rural America, someone in rural India actually doesn't have access to games consoles. And how sad would that be? That's not funny though, I'm sorry.
So Google Stadia launched in beta with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So obviously I had to play that and test it. And I tested it for 394 hours. I think maybe 396.
396 hours?
Yeah, to test it.
What were you testing?
The game. You had to make sure it works. I mean, you have to play the main story and you have to play the DLC and then the extra DLC. And then you need all the weapons and then you need to do it in New Game Plus.
Haven't you already played it all on PlayStation?
Yeah, I played it on PlayStation. Hundreds of hours on PlayStation, but I reviewed it on Xbox. So this is like the 3rd time, right? So it's a good test. You know, the stabbing, all the stabbing and the running. Put your hood up and you run around. Have you ever played Assassin's Creed?
think 2019 is the year that one of gaming's most deserving auteurs finally solidified his legacy. He put out a game of incredible value. It's thought-provoking, it's striking, it's flawlessly executed. Of course, talking about Hidetaka Miyazaki, Sekiro is the best game of the year. And if you don't believe that's the case, you're a freak and a deviant.
From Software are a company that have basically taken boss battles, notoriously one of the ropiest parts of video games, and created an entire game around it. So while it may often feel like you're banging your head against the wall for hundreds of hours, that's sort of the reason people play it. That's the reason why people enjoy it.
In April, beloved Nintendo executive Reggie Fils-Aimé retired. Reggie led with distinction as someone who spoke his mind
I suck at Smash.
and led from the front in challenging circumstances, and is noted as one of the Nintendo executives who helped reverse the company's fortunes after languishing in third place during the GameCube era. This is in stark contrast to his famous namesake Reggie Fils-Aimé, who stepped down this year after making a bad situation worse.
Reggie was replaced by a guy called Doug Bowser, which is a bit like McDonald's saying their next CEO is called John Hamburglar. John Hamburglar! If you're worried about a Bowser being in charge, keep in mind he's no kidnapped any minor royals this year.
Or ever. Doug Bowser has never kidnapped any minor royals.
Probably. PS4 exclusive Days Gone was released in April to a tepid critical response, but that didn't stop it gaining a base of loyal fans, although we shouldn't read too much into that, even serial killers get fan mail. Mortal Kombat 11 also debuted this year, and everyone liked it.
So I think the core appeal of a game like Mortal Kombat is that it is tapped into something that is inherent to humanity, and that's that we're all secretly psychopaths. It's the type of game that revels in letting you rip the skull out of somebody's head and then beat them to death with it, and what else could you possibly ask for from a game?
Causality Loop Simulator Outer Wilds wowed us in May with its stunning interpretation of the futility of time, a concept which everyone watching this will be acutely aware of, because to be honest, you're only halfway through.
Outer Wilds is about this tiny village of adorable wood-foraging aliens who build their own spaceships to go out and explore the solar system.
Yeah, like if Wales had a space program.
No.
Things got busy in June as we were treated to Judgment, a crime-solving and battering men with bicycles game set in the same world as Yakuza. My Friend Pedro turned heads, and Microsoft gave us a fleeting glimpse of its next console, codenamed Project Scarlet. Also, E3 came and went without incident. Nothing bad happened, and we definitely won't be mentioning it again. One of gaming's most influential executives, former Sony CEO Kaz Hirai, also retired this year after a storied career helping launch products as beloved as the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 4. His seismic impact on the industry cannot be overstated, and he left the organisation in an enviable state for his successor, Neil Cortex.
Kaz Hirai was replaced by a guy called Neil Cortex. Really? That's like McDonald's announcing their new CEO is called John Hamburglar.
That's mine, you wee patter thief!
Listen, Pacta, could you just give me a clue about how much the next Xbox is going to be, mate? I've got child support, you know.
I'm English. Is that you? Would you stop calling me? I thought I told you to leave me alone. It isn't 2015 anymore.
No, but listen.
I cannot believe you're still doing this. What are you trying to get at? Like 3 people know who you are? You know what I'm saying?
No.
I don't understand. I get that you're trying to diversify into other stuff, but leave me alone.
July saw 15-year-old Jaden Ashman split $2.25 million with his teammate after coming second in the Fortnite World Cup finals.
Fortnite has become such a massive game over this year that even my mum knows what flossing is. But it's actually a really good game as well. The things that Epic can do in updating the game to player feedback and what its competitors are doing is actually really impressive. It's so good, in fact, that it won Ultimate Game of the Year at last year's Golden Joysticks.
It won last year?
Yeah, it won, justifiably.
Didn't it come out in 2017?
Yeah, but it was a publicly voted award, so...
Yes, and sometimes people vote for the wrong thing though, don't they, James?
Nintendo continued their unbroken string of Switch first-party home runs with the release of Fire Emblem Three Houses, a tactical role-playing game in which you pull double duty as an army commander and a geography teacher at Eton.
Fire Emblem Three Houses is actually the first game in the series that I've played, but I fell in love with its strange mix of strategy, its weird characters, its wonderful world, and if you disagree with me that Petra is the best girl, you can tweet at me and I'll ignore you.
3 houses. That's not much of a boast. How many houses has Skyrim got? 20?
Assassin's Creed's got loads more than that. Egypt. How many houses are in Egypt?
GTA's got entire apartment blocks and millions of cars, and they're basically little houses, and I know that because I've slept in one. It was abandoned.
Hello, Mike. It's Steve Burns here. How's it going? Wait a minute. Hold on. There's no need for that.
Yeah, sorry, mate, but every time I hear the name Steve Burns, I just have to shout that word. Sort of involuntary.
Well, I was just going to ask if you wanted to be in our year in review, but...
No. Also, how did you get this number?
Well... Because, as you know, in August this year, the ESA may have leaked everyone's details. This is just a way of us illustrating that.
Oh, so you obtained my number through dubious means. Now you think you can just casually phone me up?
Oh, yeah. You didn't open the door.
See, this is why every time I hear your name, I have to shout the word
Control from Remedy was one of the most imaginative games of the year.
So I have the unenviable task of trying to explain Control, which is one of the most confusing games I've ever played, but also one of the most amazing. It's beautiful, atmospheric, mysterious. There's so many sort of iconic standout moments from the game that I'll always remember. The bits where Jessie pulls on the cord and it takes her from the oldest house to the motel. It's just beautiful. I don't know how to explain it other than saying it's a really beautiful game that I will remember for years. Another favourite game of mine from this year is Telling Lies, which simultaneously had me feeling like an expert sleuth and a voyeur who needed to take a bath.
Telling Lies is a fantastic game because of the way it plays with voyeurism. It makes you feel uncomfortable as you're playing it.
I think I had something like half a notebook filled with murder, ? And weapon. You become what you think is like Sherlock, but actually it's just someone sat in their slippers.
Oh, hey. No, I was just having a night in, polishing my joystick from 2015.
In September, the game to end all games finally arrived. A game that captured the mood of a nation. Its protagonist, an unstoppable force of nature, personifying a previously unrealised but now insatiable yearning to become a little thieving git.
One of the things that I love most about Untitled Goose Game is that in an age where we're barreling towards graphics where you can plunge into Norman Reedus's eyebrow follicles, we've got a game that's simply about stealing a kid's glasses in a street.
Sticking with the title, Untitled Goose Game was a stroke of genius, really, and it's difficult to imagine it being called anything else. I suppose they could have called it Honk
Goose
Waterfowl behaviour.
John Hamburglar.
Gander Clegane.
Jailbug. Feather Gear Solid. Honks of the Patriots.
Ezio. What?
Hey, what's the next one? Gears 5? I can't do Gears 5, man. I got nothing positive to say about it. It's just Call of Duty for folk who live on protein shakes, you know? The sort of guys who cut about saying stuff like, I'm Simon Miller of the Miller Report.
Listen, legally distinct police officer, who I have never met for legal reasons, there is a good reason why you should care about Gears of War 5, and that's because it's the best chuffing damn game of this whole show. Why? Here's why. Where's the video? I thought, Gears 5, and then we run a Gears... Where's the Gears 5 video?
We couldn't get the B-roll, sorry, man.
What do you mean you can get the B-roll? There's no Gears 5 video at all.
No. Is it good though, yeah?
Well, Gears 5. Oh yeah, play Gears 5. Oh, it's really weird. It's like, it remembers everything that was good about the old games, but it brings in updated elements. It's a really good game.
Oh, it sounds really good. It's on Game Pass?
Yeah, it's on Game Pass, yeah. You should play it.
Oh, I might pick it up.
Yeah, you should.
October rolling around meant 3 very important things. The first was that every games journalist under the sun embarrassed themselves more than usual, thinking up clever Halloween names. The second was the release of Obsidian's The Outer Worlds. Oh Christ. Obsidian's once-in-a-decade quest to troll their former clients Bethesda by making a better Fallout game than them using a template they invented. Either way, it's great. Outer Worlds is this massive takedown of late capitalism. It depicts this futuristic space colony that's completely run by corporations. There's no real government to speak of. Everything's decided in boardrooms and everything's about maximising profit. So the economy is all daft, nobody can afford anything, it doesn't work for people. It's a bit of an odd one to play as a European because the idea that corporations shouldn't just be allowed to do whatever the hell they want might come across as edgy satire if you live in America, but to everyone else it's just common sense. That said, it's fantastic, and particularly if you liked Fallout New Vegas, you should play it because it's basically that with spaceships.
Didn't Fallout New Vegas have a spaceship in it though?
No.
You sure?
Absolutely positive.
Alright, fine.
Thirdly, and most importantly, Disco Elysium, perhaps one of the games of the year, was released and everyone loved its dark story of playing as a sort of deranged
policeman, kind of a has-been, bit of a never was. No internal monologue to speak of, but a very one-sided relationship with Michael Pacta, although I guess that's hardly a substitute.
Listen, I'm not saying anything about Disco Elysium because I'm actually taking him to court.
Which brings us to this month, and only one thing matters this month, apart from the golden joysticks. It's that game about making grenades out your own pee and Conan O'Brien's in it, and I don't know, it's a bit involved, so we had to get the boss to explain it.
Death Stranding is, it's really hard to explain. It's like a mixture of 2001, The Leftovers, elements of Silent Hill, there's elements of stealth. Above all, there's parcels. Relentless parcels. Like, people made jokes about it being a walking simulator. It's a walking and delivery simulator. It's absolutely endless. But despite it all, it's mesmerising. I think the biggest thing with the game really is, it's tough, it's grueling, it's punishing. It's a sermon on the nature of belief. The best things in life are hard yards, and you'll know this from caring for people, or for if you've got children, even things like preparing a day bag to go out. The form and the gameplay of Death Stranding is about care for others, and it all feeds into the theme of connection. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, but I had a very tortuous relationship with the game.
It's difficult to say what happened in December because it hasn't happened yet. But what we do know is that we're getting a new Xbox and a new PlayStation next year.
I'm really excited to see what startup noise we get for the PlayStation 5 because each one has been iconic and no one knows what that sound is going to be yet.
Maybe it'll be
boo 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 boo.
Boo bing. I'd like it to sound a bit fed up of being turned on, so it just goes
PlayStation 5, when it turns on, what noise is it going to make? Go.
What?
Someone whispering video games in an ASMR fashion so that it gets your ear canal and your bits tingling.
I don't... What?
PlayStation 5 sound's probably just going to be the sound of a fan getting progressively louder if my launch day PS4 is anything to go by.
Are you asking everyone there?
PlayStation 5.
Ding 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 ding. Bing.
That's a horrible thing to throw at someone.
2020, like 2019, will be an absolutely belting year for video games, and potentially an all-time classic for moaning about video games. Thank you for bearing with us while we wasted your time before the award show began in earnest. And remember, you voted for the games you're about to complain about winning. Democracy, great system, everyone loses.